The resurrection story from Matthew chapter 28. After the Sabbath, as the first day of the week was dawning, Mary Magdalene and the other Mary went to see the tomb. And suddenly there was a great earthquake, for an angel of the Lord descending from heaven came and rolled back the stone and sat on it. His appearance was like lightning, and his clothing white as snow. For fear of him, the guards shook and became like dead men. But the angel said to the women, "Do not be afraid. I know that you are looking for Jesus who was crucified. He is not here, for he has been raised, as he said. Come, see the place where he lay. Then go quickly and tell his disciples, he has been raised from the dead, and indeed, he is going ahead of you to Galilee. There you will see him." This is my message for you. So they left the tomb quickly with fear and great joy and ran to tell his disciples. Suddenly Jesus met them and said, "Greetings." And they came to him, took hold of his feet, and worshipped him. Then Jesus said to them, "Do not be afraid. Go and tell my brothers to go to Galilee. There they will see me." The Gospel of the Lord. Life brings us times of listening, times of waiting, times for watching. But eventually there's time for action. Listen to all the action, to all the verbs in this account. They went to see. They shook. Come, see, go. He went ahead. They ran. They came. They took hold. Go, tell. But before all of this running and all of this action, they were all waiting behind closed doors. In that first Easter, there was fear of authorities. The women, along with Peter and John and the others, were all waiting, hidden away. Would somebody steal the body? They were still afraid. Fear. It has a way of stealing your energy, diminishing your immunity to illness, and keeping you separated from those you need and those who need you. All of us fall into its grip, especially in the face of great uncertainty about the future. Sometimes fear helps us to become immobile, held in its fierce grip until an angel speaks. Can you hear these words of an angel? An angel whose appearance was like lightning. Brilliant light spoke to the women. Do not be afraid. That lightning, that brilliance pierced through their fear. It cut right through it to their hearts. And after that, they had just a small inkling, a tiny sense, that same power that had enveloped them every time they listened to him speak, every time he talked about the kingdom, and they didn't really get it, every time he sat with them, and that energy just radiated out of him. That same sense of that energy filled them as they wondered what in the world had happened. Even though they couldn't see it yet, they knew deep in their cells, deep in their bone marrow, that this reality, this power, this life that they had known in Jesus that was still so deep in the grave was now out in the world, and that the whole world would never, ever be the same again. Way back on Friday, Jesus had spoken from the cross and said, "It is finished." But on Easter morning, God has more to say. We are still in process. It's not done yet. There's more to do. Resurrection means that all of it, all of our lives, the disappointments, the heartbreaks, the failures, the illnesses, the despair, the empty places, all of those things in our lives are not the last thing. There's a new day, and it's coming. Back in Isaiah, God said, I am doing a new thing. There will be a new heaven and a new earth. One writer says, the deepest meanings of the resurrection have to do with new creation. No matter what things look like now, no matter what suffering and heartache may be in our life, no matter what powers are set against us, Easter morning says, wait, stop. We are part of something greater than ourselves, and our lives are lived in a new age of hope, even while we face difficult circumstances. The women who go to the tomb on Easter morning are faithful followers who set out to serve Jesus, but in the process, they learn something more important. Resurrection is about new creation, new life for individual people and also for the whole world. Someday there will be a new heaven and a new earth. Just as believers are promised, there will be a new body. Several years ago, a terrible earthquake shook the country of Armenia, and 2 school children were pinned under the rubble of their building for days. These 2 siblings held hands as they waited for rescue. Later, as a sobbing father held his dead son, he learned from his daughter that her brother had kept encouraging her, and that those words kept her conscious and focused and saved her life. As they sat together in the candlelight, the father poured out his pain to a friend. I have argued with God, but God has not answered. In the Armenian church, much more is made of Holy Saturday, when Jesus went to hell and defeated death itself. His friend sat down and read 1 Corinthians 15. We will not all die, but we will be changed. This mortal body puts on immortality. Thanks be to God who gives us the victory through our Lord Jesus Christ. Those words are so familiar to me. They're spoken at the graves. When the father heard that, he began to weep. He was beside himself with joy. We will have bodies, he shouted. I will see Armin's face again, just as I see yours in the candlelight. In the Orthodox Church, the words, O death, where is your victory, are translated to say, Hell, where is your victory? They teach that Christ's victory over death was accomplished not only on a cross and by resurrection, but also on Saturday, because Christ descends into hell, knocks down its gates, and steps on the head of Satan. Evil is conquered, death is done. Christ is alive, and those who die with him will live with him. So Easter is not the end of the story. Today is the beginning of a new age in which we now live, but it is incomplete. People still suffer, wars still rage, doubt haunts us, pandemics continue, but Jesus lives. And everything matters. The resurrection of Jesus means that the present time has great significance. What is done for God's glory in the present moment is building for the future. Every creative thing we do, everything we celebrate, every prayer you pray, every act of creativity, every act of kindness, every loving gesture for a neighbor, everything we do to care for the earth, it all has great meaning. A pastor I know has a framed print on her wall that says, people are unreasonable, illogical, self-centered. Love them anyway. The good you do will be forgotten tomorrow, but do it anyway. Honesty makes you vulnerable, but be honest anyway. What you spend years building may be destroyed overnight, but build anyway. People need help, but may attack you if you help them. Help them anyway. People will accuse you of selfish, ulterior motives, but do good anyway. The powers of the day killed Jesus. The sin of the world cut him down. Nevertheless, God raised him anyway. Hatred and violence thundered on Friday, but God had the last word anyway on Sunday, because God loved the world too much to take away our hope or bring to an end the beautiful new creation that was promised long ago. Today, everything in your life, the good things, the sorrows, all of it, takes on a different color in the light of a God who loves us enough to bring new life out of death. Rejoice. Happy Easter.